Good evening, everybody. Well, Mark and Michelle have given you a great idea of what an environmental disaster a new quarry on the ground on the proposed site is going to be. Peninsula Preservation Group has also looked at whether there might be some economic pluses for the state if this quarry was to go ahead, and I'm going to talk to you briefly about that this evening. My name's John Stanley and I'm a professor at Sydney University Business School, and I'm an economist by training. Now, Melbourne's been growing very quickly over the last decade or so, and this slide shows you the population growth over the 2011 to 16 census periods, and the greener the colour, and it's only Melbourne I've got coloured, the faster the growth rate. In other words, the really fast growth in Melbourne's been happening in the outer north and west, and to a lesser extent in the outer east. Mornington Peninsula's only, added about 10,400 people over that 5-year period, which is only about a couple of % of Melbourne's total growth over that time. As we said, most of the population growth is happening in the fast-growing outer suburbs, but also in the inner area of Melbourne as well. The state government undertook an inquiry a few years ago to what the future demand for quarry products might be in Victoria in general and Melbourne in particular. And basically they concluded, as we've done, that the rapid growth is going to in fact be on the fringes of the city and in the inner area, but not down on the Mornington Peninsula. In fact, a report prepared by PwC for the state government identified 15 different local government areas that were of strategic significance, its language, for quarry products, and the Mornington Peninsula Shire was not one of those 15. This slide shows you, in fact, the future potential demand and supply for granite, which is really what will be coming from this quarry. And the reality is that granite is not in short supply in Victoria. If you look at the map of Victoria on the left, the red bits are the granite, and you can see large quantities to the east of Melbourne, in fact much closer to where the rapid population growth is occurring than that little blob of red down on the Mornington Peninsula. Now, the PwC report for the state government looked at the demand, expected future demand for quarry products between 2015-25 and 2026 to 2050 relative to the reserves that are known as at 2015. And they concluded that in fact, as at 2050, there would still be over 650 million tonnes of granite available in Victoria. So if you took out the potential granite from the site that the Ross Trust are proposing to develop, there's still enough granite to see Victoria through to 2100. Tourism is a really big deal, and lifestyle type activities on the peninsula, and this is recognised by the Shire in its economic development strategy, where they say, and I quote, "The Mornington Peninsula is renowned for its nature-based lifestyle and gourmet food and wine experiences. Coastal, rural and natural settings feature across the peninsula." Well, we get over 5 million visitors a year to the Shire. In fact, around about 6.3 million a year. 3/4 of those are day trippers. And this is Melbourne's largest day trip destination. Associated with that is about 10,000 jobs. It's about 1 in 6 jobs in the Shire, which is huge. And importantly, it's growing very quickly, around about 7 or 8% per annum. In contrast, quarrying accounts for fewer than 50 jobs. The Southern Peninsula and hinterland are the 2 main tourist destinations, and they're also going to be the areas most vulnerable to the quarry's adverse impacts. And my conclusion is the last thing that tourism development needs is an industrial scale quarry that destroys many of the very qualities that the rapidly growing number of Mornington Peninsula tourists and residents so value. Now, a couple of years ago, the Ross Trust discovered the environment, notwithstanding the fact that R.E. Ross in his will expressed his wish that the funds in the trust be used for the preservation and maintenance of national or public parks. The chart on the right-hand side shows the percentage of the Ross Trust grants that were issued for the environment between 2013-14 and 2018-19. And you can see that it never exceeded 10% over that year, and in fact averaged 5% over that period. And it's only in the last couple of years, since the trust decided they wanted to get stuck into the environment down here, that they realised they should be doing something about the environment on a more serious scale. And we wonder how on earth is destroying one of the state's and region's best remnant natural environments doing what the Trust claims it is doing, that is conserving and protecting Victoria's biodiversity, particularly so when there are alternative, well-located sources of quarry products. So the conclusion that I draw from an economic point of view is this, that the proposed Ross Trust Hillview Quarry is essentially a major industrial project. It's about increasing the future profitability of the Ross Trust, rather than about meeting future Victorian demand for a scarce resource. We recognise and acknowledge the Trust has supported many worthwhile activities in the past, but the environmental, health, landscape and road safety effects of a new quarry will all be major negatives for the region, and really importantly from an economic point of view, with the tourism's greatest single competitive economic strength being in tourism, lifestyle and nature-based activities, we only need to lose 0.5% of the jobs in those sectors because of the quarry, and there would be no net job gain whatsoever. There are other alternatives that are better located, lower environmental and social consequences for the community and for our flora and fauna. And frankly, our community does not want or need this quarry.